Hey everybody. Today I wanted to go over how I fletch an arrow or repair a damaged vane on an arrow. I want to talk about all the different ways I've seen how people do it and what I found to work the best. Today I'm going to be refletching an Easton Access arrow. As you can see, it's already fletched with Bohning laser vane, which I highly recommend. But actually one of the vanes is a little bit off, so I've decided that I'm going to show you how to strip it down and reattach the vanes. First of all, go over what I use. I've got a Bitzenburger Dial-O-Fletch jig. I found it works really well. This is a right helical clamp. I've always used Tuff glue. In my opinion, it's the best. It creates a bond that just does not come off if you do it properly. Like I said, I'll be using Bohning laser vanes, 2-inch, neon yellow, real simple. When I take my vanes off, I use a ZipStrip Tool. A lot of people I know that do this themselves will just use a dull knife or a razor blade. I've found that by using the ZipStrip, it really cleans it up nicely and it doesn't ever damage the arrow. A lot of people use it flat side down, and I found that you can actually dig the arrow, the carbon arrows, with that. So I usually flip it over and hold it at an angle, and it cleans it up really well. Comet Cleanser, really easy, great way to clean it. It's a little bit abrasive, so it really takes off any oil or anything on the surface of the shaft. Just a scratch pad from the local store, really cheap. It's not as abrasive as sandpaper, but it roughs up the finish a little bit and helps smooth the shaft of the arrow. And I use alcohol, just a little dab on a couple Q-tips, clean Q-tips, right on the face of the vane before I attach it. Let that dry thoroughly, and you really get a really nice bond that holds strong and won't come off. I know I've used a whisker biscuit in the past, and with other glues, not the Tuff, other glues, they tend to fall off like halfway during the season, or the ends here. Really the biggest problem is right here on the front side of the vane. That tends to come off. So with this setup, you will never have any problems with that. Your arrows will fly really well. Highly recommended. Okay, so in order to remove the vanes from the arrow shaft, I use the ZipStrip tool, and instead of using it flat side down like this, which I have found will nick the arrow if you're not real careful, I tend to flip mine over. Really simple. Hold it straight, nice and slow, make sure your arrow's stable. Literally take the vane off. Do that again. Just like that. Some people like to take their nocks out of their arrows when they do this. I tend to keep mine in. I haven't had much of a problem, but feel free to do so. Once the vanes are off, you want to clean the rest of that up. Don't be afraid to really go at it and clean that up nicely. The better you clean it, the better the bond will be on the arrow. So this is how I do mine. I kind of turn the arrow shaft as I'm doing this, and as you can see, the old glue and the old vanes are coming up off the shaft, leaving raw carbon. So I'm going to do this a little quickly, and I'll cut to the finished product and show you how I treat it with the Comet Cleanser. Okay, so now that we have the arrow shaft pretty well clean, I removed all the vanes and the glue using the ZipStrip tool I have, and as you can see, it's very clean. It does have a little bit of oil, a little bit of stuff that needs to be cleaned off. So the best thing to do is, this was a tip from Bohning Archery actually, regular Comet Cleanser and a scratch pad. You can find these at anywhere basically throughout the country. Real cheap, inexpensive, does the job really well. Basically what I'm going to do is put a little Comet Cleanser on the arrow shaft. Don't be worried, it's pretty cheap, so use it as you will. And really, I'm going to turn it against the length of the arrow shaft to create the clean grooves and the roughed up pattern. So when I put the vanes on, the adhesive will have something to grab a hold of. And at the end of this, I'm going to rinse in very, very hot water, as hot as I can get, and let air dry. And I'm doing that because I don't want to rub a paper towel or something that could have oil from your hands, dust, fabric, you never know. It's best to let it air dry, and once that's air dried, you'll be able to go ahead and put the vanes on. So, start the water, get your scratch pad wet. Like I said, I'm going to turn it this way instead of going this way, which puts lengthwise grooved scratches on your shaft. I tend to want to twist where I'm going to be putting the vanes on using the Comet, which not only cleans the shaft, but roughs up the surface of the carbon a little bit here. So you don't have to do this the whole length of the shaft, just where you're going to be putting the vanes. So, all right, and don't be shocked if you get a little bit of carbon on your scratch pad. That's okay, because what that is the coating that comes on your arrows from the factory coming off. And actually, when that coating comes off, you'll get a better adhesion to the shaft. So now that we've done that, you can just rinse it off with cold water. Turn that up really hot. You want it as hot as it can get. And make sure you don't touch the shaft after it's clean, because it'll defeat the whole point of cleaning it the way you've done it. So now that I've got some real hot, okay, yeah, that's hot, real hot water, I'm going to rinse the shaft, make sure all that Comet comes off, and anything that might be sticking on it, I guess. Okay. Now that that's rinsed, your shaft is ready to go. You just need to let it air dry.